Good evening, everybody. I'm Art Whitman, Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I'd like to bring this meeting of the Shaftsbury Select Board to order on Monday, December 18th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. First order of business, is there anything on the agenda that anybody has a conflict of interest in?
No.
No. Okay. Next, we have, I don't have any minutes.
No minutes.
No minutes. We have a warrant. Warrant number 21. For $141,878.72.
So moved.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
second by Martha. Items over $1,000. Aflac, $1,015. Appalachia Salt, $2,822. It isn't Delurys, but it's Allegiance at Hoosick, $8,560. Another one for $7,200. Bennington County Sheriff's, $4,445. Bennington Tire, $1,897. Chum Supply, $1,642.
That's plow blades.
Bob Leeds. GA Bove, $1,492. A lot of little ones, I guess. Okay, North Bennington Water Department, $63,219. RCS Consulting, $1,203. Another one for $1,203. It looks like two payments, two different ones. Shaftsbury Historical Society, $11,844.
That's the ARPA match. We said we would match 20,000, so they've come up with like 22,000 worth of bills so far. So
Okay.
I'll match that.
Sullivan and Powers, $3,546.
That closes out the annual audit.
Okay. TAM, $8,726. William E. Daly, $5,884. Campbell Wilmington, must be
That's the attorneys.
attorneys, $1,612. And is there another one? There is. No, that's it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried, 500. Announcements. A couple. We need members to go on to the Planning Commission. One member is needed.
One member is
One member
needed at
for
this
the
time, yeah.
Planning Commission. Economic Development, we also need members there.
One or two.
One or two, yeah.
Because
Yeah, for folks that are, changing.
Joan Vargo, we need a,
Yeah, we need a bookkeeper, so we're going to be putting out a advertisement hopefully tomorrow. This is a new development, but our bookkeeper of many, many years has decided to move on. So we'll be putting that out shortly.
Perfect. Are we going to be doing anything for, to just say thank you? Because I know she's been the bookkeeper
Oh, yeah, she's
for
been here a long time. It'll be January.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah.
and petitions for a candidate to be on the ballot are due January 29th. So, and the same if you want to put anything on for community appropriations, is that not right? Is
I
that the
believe
same
that's
date?
correct. But I double check that date before I confirm it. And I had one here. Anyway, I'll get back to you.
Okay.
And I just wanted to, because I think we were remiss in our last meeting, Ron Jennings retired from the road crew, and I think it's worth, us saying thank you for all of his service, because he has been with us for quite some time and did quite a bit, so
Yep,
just
absolutely.
to recognize his retirement.
We do that on other business.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Petitions for community appropriate to be on the ballot for other than a candidate is January 18th.
Okay, if it's community appropriations, January 18th, if it's to be a candidate.
Community appropriations are any voter-driven ballot item. It doesn't have to be appropriations, it can be
Yeah, okay.
anything.
And January 29th for people that run for office, okay? Anything else? Okay. Up to public comments. Do we have anybody on Zoom, public comments?
Nope.
Okay. Treasurer's report?
Oh, I timed that well.
You did.
Hello, everybody. Let's take a quick look at the cash flow.
It's a multi-part process.
The number that's going to jump out at you is delinquent taxes. That's a sign that Holly is up to speed. She's got her banking taken care of now. So that's the large low-hanging fruit payment for the people who missed mostly, but it's also payments going all the way back to July. So we're back in business with delinquent taxes, and kudos to her for taking this on. It's not an easy job, and she obviously was thrown into the deep end at the busiest time of year. So my gratitude to her for that. You can see there's a little bit of taxes that came in. In many cases, that's for extremely late changes to tax bills that happens when Montpelier sends us information after our due date. So the payments come in apparently after the due date, but they're actually on time because people have an extra amount of time to pay their tax bill when they obviously when they get it after the due date. And unfortunately, I just found out there are going to be 3 more that are changing. The assessors are allowed to change current use right up until December 31st. And I just found out that there are 3 new tax bills going out tomorrow. So ho, 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 a nice Christmas present for somebody. You can look down a little bit. We can see if we look at sort of the bottom line. Okay, so that number is starting to look more like our real cash position because the big checks to the schools have already been written. What needs to come out of that in the short term is the community appropriations and the voter-approved transfers to reserves, which I will be taking care of. I usually do the week between Christmas and New Year when it's nice and quiet. When I take a quick look at reserves, the only thing that you see here is water payments, since they were due this month. That's the last of the on-time payments are in there. You see that at the 260 line there. The thing that is not here is we just got a fairly large grant from the state that is paving, right?
It was paving 122,000.
Yeah, 122. It came into the general fund, so I need to transfer it over here. But since that happened today, I haven't done the accounting for it yet. But so you'll see that will improve the bottom line on our reserve accounts next time you see this report. I have not. Talking back about the cash flow, I have, as I've mentioned a couple times, because there were some missing information about payroll, I have not compared our current position to the budget for a couple of months. But I think that I've got all I need now. So the next meeting, I know I keep saying next meeting, but really at the next meeting, I will have, I'll be able to project it to budget. I don't think there's anything scary or no surprises there, right, Dave? I mean,
No.
Yeah, everything. Anything that would be unusual, you've already heard about in lots of different forms. So, but I will be able to do that next time just to make it official. Anything about any of that? I think that's all I got.
Can I ask a question? So Dave sent out in our packet about the audit that happens annually.
Yeah.
And there was what seemed like a fairly large coding error. And so I wasn't sure if you could just explain what happened there, and because it seemed like that's what caused everything to
Coding
kind of
is
go.
actually our end.
Oh, okay.
So there was
For things.
2 errors.
Okay.
It all had to do with machinery and equipment and the very close number for chloride. And I would say about half of that was typing the wrong letter at the end, and I'll take the blame for bad penmanship for the other half of it. Unfortunately, we didn't see it when the auditors were there, and then they closed the year. And then as I was preparing the budget, I was like, this line is totally out of whack. And you just open up the accounting and you see, well, yeah, I think there was 5 different chloride bills in there, and they're normally $5,000 or $6,000 a piece.
Right.
And, it's a series of numbers, and the last 2 numbers are like 05 or 00. And so it were misread a couple of times because I actually wrote those clearly. And then a couple of times I looked at it and was like, well,
It could have been.
sometimes maybe I write too fast. So,
Okay.
but the money balance is out the same, but it was just the.
And it's sort of an unfortunate timing issue with when the audit is done. I mean, if they came at a different time, we would have caught it early. And there are all these bills that happen at the end of the year that are, or end of the fiscal year that are actually for the previous year. So that's how that can happen.
Yeah, and when they come, we go through so many things, and they pick out so many things. And so,
that was just a big one that kind of came up.
Oh, no, that was a big one.
Which I was just like, wow, is that the right number?
Yeah.
The other one that I was just curious about was the price of delivered gravel, the 30% increase over what we had expected.
Yeah.
Was that due to fuel costs? Because you had another line that was due to
50-50. Part of it was they raised the price. No, we didn't get more. They raised the price of the raw material, which had to do with the diesel cost, I'm sure, partially. And we raised the price. We approved the contract raising the price of the trucking service. So in total, it raised the 30% over the year. And you saw a similar thing with chloride there, because that went up, and a lot of that has to do with trucking too, because they have to tanker that stuff in here. So back in that period, another line there is just the cost of diesel, which was $33,000 above the year before. Yeah. But it's back to where it was in 2021 again. So there's just no way of predicting. I mean, the same thing could happen almost any day right now.
A spike could happen.
Yeah, I mean,
so it was just, those were some big numbers.
I don't like the budget.
Way changed.
Pad the budget because something might happen. We have reserves to handle this. Now we just work on building the reserves we got to use to cover that. Global things are way out of our control. Right. So, but that's all. Gravel was twofold, and most all of it has to do with energy.
Got it.
Because their mining consumes a lot of energy, and moving the material does. So they're reflecting the general. I think, Mike, what did we hit? Like close to $6 a gallon for diesel at that point, from around $3.20. So
a huge increase.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and I just want to be a cheerleader for very accurate budgets, because when you don't have it padded, that it really shines a bright light on where the problems are. As you know, our budgets have been like 0.001 off for the last several years. And so when this happens, it's very, very clear.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Right, yeah.
Because when we took all that stuff out, it was back around 1%. Yeah. And everything that went over, because it was a large amount this year,
Right.
is energy driven.
Yep.
And
Was-
it's really,
okay.
can't predict things like that.
Right. Okay, thank you. I just had questions, so.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And I'll try and write meter so that Joe can read it.
Any other comments, discussion?
Okay,
No?
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Marlene?
So since our last meeting, I had checked with the Secretary of State's office, and this is something to change the town meeting date that would have to be voted on at town meeting by the voters. It's not something the select board can change.
Yep.
I also put out an email to other clerks just to see who has changed and if there's been any opposition. And I didn't hear back from a lot of people, but Ferrisburgh, Cornwall, Manchester, and Weathersfield all have Saturday town meetings. Nobody's ever had a complaint about it. And Marshfield is actually holding their town meeting on Sunday, starting this year. So there are towns changing. So I guess what I'm asking for now is to have it put into the warning for town meeting so it can be voted on.
So we got a letter pointing out that it would be impossible for practicing Jews, to religiously observant Jews, to attend a town meeting that was held on a Saturday before sundown.
So
And-
at the 10 o'clock time?
At the 10 o'clock time.
Right.
And the suggestion was that if we didn't want to do it on Sunday, that we do it after sundown on Saturday, which would be, this year it would be 6:30. My thought was, well, we could make it 7 and have a potluck before that. We wouldn't be disenfranchising anybody by having a potluck.
Except
That people couldn't
Catholic
get to.
people who go to church on Sunday.
Well, and he also made
Penalize
that,
them, but it wouldn't,
I know there's
we
really
wouldn't
no,
disenfranchise them.
right.
he also
No matter
said,
what we,
mentioned 10 o'clock on Sunday would also be a conflict for those
Right.
who are practicing Christians
Right.
as well.
Right.
So
That's
that
right.
it-
So Sunday would
having
be-
evening time might be best for everybody who's practicing
Okay.
any type of
Right.
religion.
so would you guys be willing to put that on, to be voted on at town meeting?
Yeah, I think, do you see it, that was my first question, would there be a conflict if it was in the evening time on a Saturday? Or I would assume we'd probably do it on a Saturday, not a Sunday.
I don't.
To do it in the evening.
don't dare
6,
guess.
7.
Right,
we'd
yeah,
have a
I don't
potluck
dare
prior.
guess what it might do to the number of people that come. I don't think that's
From
gonna be
your end,
affected.
as the town clerk and
Oh, no,
everything, that
no.
doesn't have any bearing on your
No.
work or anything like that.
No, I will
so-
be here that whole
Yes,
weekend,
I can imagine.
or it doesn't really matter what
So-
time to me.
So you think that Saturday night would be more of a deterrent
I don't
to
know.
people's
I don't.
participation than a Monday night is?
I don't want to guess.
Or-
I don't.
Or a Sunday night before work.
Yeah.
I think once, it didn't occur to me because I'm not an observant Jew, but once it was brought to our attention, I thought it was pretty clear that we have a legal responsibility not to actually disenfranchise
Right.
people.
There's Seventh-day Adventists too.
And the Seventh-day Adventists as well, right, yes. And, they can't travel on Saturday. So we really can't do it if we're not going to run the risk of disenfranchising people, which I believe is illegal on the part of the municipality, right?
So what
So we
day
need to
would
come up with a
you,
different
what
option.
day would you recommend and what time, based on the seventh? Because Seventh-day Adventists cannot travel on Saturdays at any time, correct? Or
No, they.
does, it ends
it's
at
like
sundown?
Tuesday.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was the
Yeah,
case. So, but pushing it to 7, because typically we have our potluck from 5 to 6, and then meeting starts at 6:30 or 6. What have we done in the
6:30,
last?
7.
Well, it's all changed because it used to
Because
be.
of COVID, yes,
Well,
and all of those
because of
things, too.
COVID, because of the consolidation of the schools.
Right.
School board meeting used to be before town meeting. It's all changes,
Right,
all
so
up in
it's
the
all
air at
kind
this
of
point.
wild, because I'm just
Yes.
thinking if we push it to 7 o'clock for the meeting, that if it gets heated, it may go into the night, and I'm thinking about parents, and if we're doing it, or people that are working on a Sunday night, say, if we did it a Sunday night, people are having to get up in the morning.
Well, the same thing is true on a Monday night.
Right, true, I guess.
So-
So I'm just thinking
So
about.
the problem with Sunday night
Yeah.
also
I
is
still-
we do have some Mennonite families that
That is
live in
true.
town.
So
And I don't think it would matter sundown or not on a Sunday. I think Saturday night, if
is probably the best bet for things. Yeah.
I just want to remind you that we're voting $1 million budget, and I wonder how many people would come out on a Saturday night. I know we're offering them supper and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't know if we would get the turnout on a Saturday night. And since we aren't putting on a budget on the Australian ballot, we're getting, it's always been a concern that less and less people vote
Right.
for $1 million budget.
And I think, but a lot of
So
folks
what
are
would you
moving, and
suggest?
several towns have moved this year to Australian balloting for the
For the
budget.
budget.
And everything else being on floor votes.
Which means that if your budget is on the Australian ballot, I wouldn't concern them too
Right.
much about less people coming to the town meeting.
And this would be something that would occur for next year anyway, so
next
we
year
could be
and-
also putting maybe that,
Well, that has to go on
That
the
has to-
town ballot too.
Yes.
okay.
So if
So
you did the
that
ballot to
changed.
change the town meeting time for next year, then next year you would be putting on to vote the budget.
Because it has to be 2
Yeah,
years.
it has, well, you can do them both, but we'll never get a petition together, and that was hotly contested last time we brought this up.
How long
So,
ago
what
was
would
that?
your
Couple of years.
suggestion be?
Yeah.
Monday, stick with Monday.
That's my suggestion.
Well,
the problem for me is Tuesday night, I have to be on top of my game.
Right.
Yeah, we understand, and
And it's 2 very long days.
but
Now,
if we give you as volunteers and help. check
I'm
off
still
this-
there, I'm still there
Yeah, okay.
until that meeting's done.
Yeah.
The only other thing we could do is start the election at 10 instead of 7. A lot of towns do that. I don't know what it would take. I don't think we could do it this year. I would have to look into what it would take to
Yeah.
change that.
Um,
We have to end at 7 at night, but we can start anywhere between 6 and 10 in the morning.
Interesting.
Probably take a town vote.
No,
But we have to
I'm
put it
missing-
on-
I'm missing that. This is for what day now?
The actual town election. We don't have to have election 7 to 7.
Oh, okay, sure.
We could start at 10. I don't know how many people would like that. There's
But a
usually
lot of folks come at 7 a.m. because they're
Yeah.
going to work, and I think that
Exactly.
would not be a great decision
I
on
would
our
just, I would like it to be up to the townspeople. I would like to put it on,
Yeah.
for town meeting and let the people decide
Yeah.
what would work best for them.
And so when we phrase it, though, would we have, somebody would have, makes a motion from the floor, correct? To say, I would like town meeting for this
We're talking
change?
about if the board can vote to have me put it on the warning. And then it
Right.
would be on the warning that goes out, and then it's just an item that's voted
And then
off
we
the
could
floor.
give
Or
options
if it's
in
voted
that
Australian
town.
ballot.
No, this is voted on the
That's
floor.
voted
town
on the
meeting.
floor, right, at town meeting. So at town meeting this year, there would be a vote off the floor
So somebody would
to
make a
change for
motion.
next year.
to do that, okay.
Well, it'd be on
But in
the
the
warrant, because you
written-
can't make a motion off the floor to change this. Is that correct?
It would have to be warned, otherwise
Yeah.
it's a
So we would have to
non-binding.
write something
it
on
goes in-
what goes
yeah.
out, and we could have potential times, and then somebody would
I think
stand up to speak on the floor.
Yeah, anyone's
Correct.
entitled to speak on any warned item.
Once it's
So
warned.
this would just be a warned item.
And warned items can be changed.
Yeah.
at town
Correct,
meeting on the
yes,
floor.
on an
Or it can be
amendment or
voted
down.
other things,
You'd
or
get
it
it
can be
up or
voted
down.
up or down.
And then we would know what the town wants,
I would-
the people that come to the meetings.
Correct.
Something we should probably check with JP. Does that have to be,
I just,
because we use both methods, can
Right.
that only be voted off the floor, or because
Yeah,
we
that's what he
also-
told me. It has to be voted at town meeting.
At town meeting,
on
but
the
town
floor.
meeting is bifurcated with us, because town meeting is also the ballot. So what's the most democratic way of doing it, the ballot, or voting off the town floor when there's only like 40 people there? You know what I mean? Because I know he said at town meeting, but our town meeting is two separate parts.
I can double check with them.
Yeah.
Well, The official,
Tom
town-
adjourns town meeting.
yes, the official
after our
town meeting is
yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
The official town meeting is Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, it starts as soon as Tom opens up the public section,
Yeah.
but he adjourns the meeting at
Yes.
the end of our thing at the school. The town meeting is continued on Tuesday, so the vote, I'm just curious, the vote
I
can
can-
actually be
I can
either
check
way.
with him tomorrow
Yeah.
to be
And
sure.
then maybe the board should decide how they want that vote to be, whether it should just be open on the ballot, which might get an interesting response. I don't know. Just tossing it out there.
Yeah.
I think it could be either way.
do we have time to wait till our next meeting to
No.
figure out this? No, that's what I was wondering with all the timeframes for getting it
I
all
think we're
warned
going
and
to have to
everything.
have a meeting next week anyway.
Okay, I
Because
just,
we're into a crunch with a whole bunch of things.
okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
okay.
So we'll
Well-
bring it up again next week at
And
a
maybe we
special meeting.
can, we can
If- yeah.
cogitate
If
on
we-
it, all
If
of
we
these
could find out,
things.
I think that's a key part of this.
Okay.
How, and then if it is either or, then the board should decide either or.
Right.
You know, floor or
And my
ballot.
thought is the people that come to town meeting are the ones that really should have the say as to when it's going to be, because we want to make sure that they can come.
Yeah.
If they're the ones interested in coming to town meeting, they should have the say as to when it is, for sure. It's just my thought.
Yep,
So,
Yeah, doesn't matter to me, but I just think it's an
Yeah,
option out there that
yeah.
we should investigate.
Okay. All right. Well, to be
thank you,
continued.
thank you for all of those thoughts. More things to think about.
Okay, next we have a couple guests here for community appropriations. Monty is for the House of Wildlife Rehabilitation.
That's me.
Yep.
Want me to step up here?
Yes.
All right, I figured that was the protocol.
That's what it is.
I guess this is kind of just like a meet and greet or an introduction, because this is my first time that you folks or anybody will be seeing my name on the appropriation ballot. I do have the appropriate number of signatures on the petition that I turned into Dave, but both Dave and Marlene thought it would be nice for me to come and introduce myself, and I will do the same at town meeting. My name is Karen Rose, and I do run Monty's House Wildlife Rehab in Shaftsbury. I have been a licensed wildlife rehabber licensed through the Department of Fish and Wildlife through the state of Vermont since October of 2018. My license is for non-rabies vector small mammals. And I'm also a member of I was appointed to serve by the Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife to serve on the Wildlife Rehabilitation Governance Board, which is a board that they put together last fall. So we oversee, with myself and another rehabber, along with a wildlife biologist and a game warden, we oversee the permitting of all new rehabbers and kind of like the self-policing of existing rehabbers, because we're licensed volunteers. We don't get any kind of funding or stipend from the state or the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Monty's House, I also, in October of 2020, Monty's House became a 501c3 nonprofit. So in that vein, that is kind of why I decided I figure I live in town and the nonprofit is licensed in town, and I was requesting $1,000 of support from the town folk to offset some of the costs to run the rehab.
So how many folks are you, or folks, animals is what I mean, not folks.
I call them folks. They all have names.
Yes. Are you rehabbing in a year, and are people?
I have data if you would like to hear it.
Yes, of
it will go
course.
into. Marlene did ask me to write a blurb for the annual report since I will be being considered. I can give you the 2023 numbers if you want anything more specific. I can certainly get into that kind of offline. Year to date, because obviously my season ends in 12/31, it's a calendar year, and I have this data because every single month, every single rehabber has to report to Montpelier all of their intake incidents. So basically, how many critters came in, who the finder was, the town, and then the final disposition of that animal. So for 23, I had 73 intake incidents. Now, that does not just mean 73 critters, because each intake incident more than likely has more. So if somebody finds a litter of bunnies, we have more than just one bunny. So we have a lot of those. So I had 73 intake incidents. From Shaftsbury, I did count critters for you folks. I had 15 intake incidents with 37 critters, right, just from Shaftsbury. Yes, and so my 2023 release numbers, now again, some of them, obviously as it happens, they perish or they have to be euthanized. So 23 release numbers and I take in non-rabies vector mammals, I kind of take in the small critters. So the largest I go up is porcupine. I don't intake bobcat or coyote or anything larger. I'm just not set up for it. And because I take the little guys, I'm fond of saying I don't like to knowingly put the dinner and the diner at the same table. So they all release. Most of them find their own way in the woods, but some of them do hang out, and I just, in my heart, I don't feel comfortable with that. So for 23 release numbers, I released 15 gray squirrels, 14 red squirrels, 40 cottontail rabbits, 6 opossums, a chipmunk, a house sparrow, and 2 starlings. Now, I did say I was licensed for mammals. There are non-protected species that are mammals, and there are non-protected species that are birds. Birds are house sparrows, pigeons, and starlings. So in that lot, I decided to dip my toe in the pond because I'm the only rehabber of any flavor at all down in this corner, in this neck of the woods. Yes. And we all have very different licenses. So a rehabber is not just, so you have to there are rehabbers that have licenses for rabies vector, some for amphibians and reptiles, birds of prey and raptors, songbirds, all that. But I decided to dip my toe in the pond because I was sending all of these songbirds and whatnot on 2-hour rides north to Addison is our next closest songbird rehabber. Wow. So in that vein, it worked out well. I think I'll still be able to handle it. I do have a full-time job besides the rehab gig, but I do work from home. I work in the residential mortgage industry. And so this winter, I'm just waiting for my renewal permit, my actual permit from Fish and Wildlife. All of our permits expire at the end of this year. So I'm waiting for my renewal, and then I will be submitting my application to the feds so I can get federally licensed. And I really just want to help I'm not interested in birds and prey and raptors or wading birds or gulls or just songbirds. I'm going to help out with them in our area. I did not log those calls. I probably should have logged those calls this year, but I didn't really think about getting permitted kind of towards the end. But I did have a lot of calls for songbirds that I had to send north. And still overwintering with me, living with me, the people that I have with me right now. Right. I have 2 opossums, I have a porcupine, I have a gray squirrel, and I have 5 deer mice, which they are non-protected, and we all have them in our house. And I know it seems crazy, and 2 of them could have been released, but I was like, if I release you now in late October, you are just going to come back in. So I have, invited guests, and I don't want you to be non-invited guests. So hang out for the winter. You'll have a good time. You'll run on your wheel. You'll get fed, and we'll deal with you in the spring. So those are my numbers for 23. I'm going to put that together in a more, polished version for the town report, so folks will be able to read that about what I do, and I certainly will speak to it at town meeting as well.
Thank you. That's so interesting.
You take in from other towns, is that right?
I do, yes. And the interesting thing about us is that, we're a sparsely populated state, and this year we were able to license through the board that I referenced. We licensed 10 new rehabbers. Prior to that, we were 18, and again, so I'm here. The next closest was in Brattleboro, and then we go all the way up to like Rutland and Poultney, and then there's a bunch of them in the Burlington area. But what happens is people get full. I've never said no. I don't really know. It's all I credit it to my waitressing skills in high school and college. I can juggle a lot of things, and so I've never said no. And what happens is I take from other towns. So in our footprint, furthest north I've gotten in this year was from Pulteney and a couple from Rutland. I do take from Manchester and Bennington and all in Dorset and all in between. And then there are some that come from much farther just because rehabbers say we're full, and so we have a great supportive volunteer, what we call volunteer transporters, that will essentially run and they'll relay animals from one, like I do with the songbirds. They go up, and then I have ones that come down.
Wow. Have you thought about getting on the community appropriations from other towns?
I have not as yet.
Okay.
No.
So just Shaftsbury? Just
Shaftsbury right now, yes. I do have, putting in that is a consideration. Or, I thought about that because I do take some from a bunch of other towns. Many rehabbers as myself, full disclosure, we do have Amazon wish lists, so people who want to contribute can buy. Those are supplies. I do for other fundraisers, I do at the request of the social media fans. I have a decent support system through social media. I do a calendar fundraiser every year. Who knew? I never thought that was their suggestion, and it's been very successful. Giving Tuesday kind of thing. So I do have some traction with that. But again, your feet this summer at the height of and sometimes I don't. Other rehabbers will ask, "How many do you have?" And I think, "Oh God, I don't know if I really want to do this," because I don't try to think. At the height of the season this summer, I had 49 intakes in my rehab room, 28 of which were cottontail rabbits. And when they start to eat, man, they start to eat.
Oh my God.
In organic green, because you can only pick so much from your yard, in organic greens, a grocery bill was easily over $200 a week. So, some of this goes to offset a lot of, these appropriations. But that at this point, I have not approached any other towns. I figured I would start here. I kind of got a late start with thinking about it and with my timeline. So, but it may be something that I will consider forthgoing.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
May I stay for a little while longer?
Sure, absolutely.
Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Get the restroom. I'll be right back.
Jenny Rizicki from McCullough Library in North Bennington.
Well, good evening, folks.
Hi.
Thanks for putting me on the agenda and the library on the agenda this evening. On December 1st of last year, the library reopened after renovations that were extensive and entirely funded through donations and ARPA funding and grants. And we reopened in December. I was a little nervous. I was like, oh gosh, how is it going to go? And we have had, again, the best year ever. I'm really pleased with how people came out to come and learn and explore and discover with us. We welcomed 460 new members this year. Wow. Our previous highest count ever was 275. Our summer reading program, we had 126 registrants, like kids who registered, and together they read 111,550 minutes they tracked. I believe that was third or fourth in the state. So we have, it was just a really robust summer reading program to help support kids through the summer. We hosted over 230 events, and those are sponsored by our Friends group. And it's just been a really busy and joyous year, I gotta say. People came back in force. And just to say thank you, we also did some partnerships with Shaftsbury, focusing on that this year. Reached out to the Historical Society to see if there's a way for partnering. We displayed the signature quilt over at the left bank on Battle Day this year. We worked with the cemetery committee to present how to care for headstones, and there's a headstone cleaning kit that you can borrow with sort of directions from that workshop at the library. Also has product recommendations, so you can go and take care of those in the way that will help preserve them. We also brought Dino Man and his life-size inflatable dinosaurs to Shaftsbury Elementary School for our Dino-Vember celebration
Magical.
in November. So I'm really pleased with that sort of outreach we've been able to do this year, and we're looking forward to next year. We are requesting level funding in the year ahead, and we can't do all we do without you. So thanks. And looking forward to working together. I'll also leave this here at Town Hall if folks are interested. There's also, this is our strategic plan for the next 3 years, which we completed in June, which sort of outlines our priorities based on input from community members. So I'll leave this here, pass it around. It's also available on our website. And yeah. So thanks, folks.
Thank you. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. It really is
It's
incredible and
amazing.
fun to participate
Is it
with.
still under community appropriations for this year?
It's under for this year, but we are going to move all the libraries to a budget item next year because we don't feel it's something that we should risk voters turning down. We all think libraries are part of the basic provision of services for a town, so we'll be having different discussions next year. We've talked to the Barrington Library about it and with you, and at some point with someone other than myself. We'll be sitting and discussing with you so we can come up with line items for all this in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And come and see us this week. It is our now annual hot chocolate bomb giveaway. Come to the library, borrow a book, and you get a hot chocolate ting-a-ling from the Village Chocolate Shop to go home and enjoy with your book. And I don't think there's anything more cozy than that or wholesome. So, like, come on over while supplies last. We have 250 to share. So come on over and bring home a book to enjoy over the long weeks ahead. So thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much.
Okay. DPW report. Michael?
Take the hat off.
Hi, Mike.
Got a haircut. Just for that.
Just to come here, right?
Now I'll have to turn the camera on.
That's fine.
Okay. How the roads fare?
From what I've seen, I mean, not too bad for rain in December. Heavy rain. We got a few washouts to fix up, but some culverts that need to be cleaned out. Normal stuff. Nothing. No calls about anything out of the ordinary. Right now, we're just maintaining equipment, getting caught up on some maintenance on all of our equipment that we used all summer long. So we're not doing really much on the roads at the moment. Hence the weather too. Really didn't let us do anything today besides working in the shop on some plow equipment and stuff like that. And we got a leak on the grader we got to fix and some welding on the backhoe bucket. Just a ton of maintenance from running them all summer. But that's about where we're at with what we're doing, and then taking care of the roads as we need. Two guys will be around town tomorrow just checking on cleaning up some trees and stuff that fell on the side of the road, but I didn't really get any phone calls about anything bad, so.
That's a good sign. Over the past, winters seem to be getting warmer. The road doesn't freeze as much as it used to. We end up scuffing a lot of dirt off a soft road into the gutters and that sort of stuff. Talk to us about what you've been talking about, rubber cutting edges on the plows.
So I found out that a few towns are running a rubber cutting edge for soft gravel roads in the in the fall, early winter, and the road's really not frozen, and then switching back possibly during mud season if we get mud and snow. Local town, they actually have 2 plows for each truck, and instead of changing the blades, that one plow is like their, one plow's got the rubber blade and one plow's got the steel carbide like we run for when it gets really cold out. I've been talking with the guy that we buy our blades from, and he's supposed to be getting me some more information about the rubber blades that they sell and everything. And he told me that go over to the town of White Creek, because he doesn't sell the White Creek because it's not his territory, but it is the same blade. So I'm going to go over there and check them out. I'd like to try it on one of the trucks. I mean, I don't know about putting rubber on and then going back to steel and then back to rubber. I don't know how cost efficient that would be, but like Art said, we do lose a lot of gravel. We
Because it digs too deep,
in.
as opposed to a rubber that glides,
I
or
guess.
what? How does that work?
That's what I'm understanding. I've never used one
Okay.
before. I'm interested in it, and there was a couple guys that have talked at the shop that have talked about it before.
Okay.
So I'd be interested in trying it on a truck during, like right now, it's not frozen at all.
Right.
Somebody from White Creek Department spoke to me, and he says it's like a squeegee instead
It's
of
a soft piece of rubber. In other words, it just bends back a bit.
Yeah. I've personally never used them, so I really don't know, but I'm not opposed to trying it.
We always got to be. I mean, this is changing, and we got to change with it.
And if it works,
and
maybe it is worth.
Gravel's expensive.
Gravel is expensive, and you can plow a lot of it off.
Yep.
Interesting.
It might be
Fill in
something.
those ditches extra
Yes,
fast.
so Bill Blades, that's who we deal with. He's getting me a price and which blade we should run, which one they sell, which one we should run. And I should have that any day now, but I spoke with him today.
Does it go on the wing too, or just on the plow, the main plow?
Just on the main plow. And now he was telling me that they changed their wing blade so that it kind of acts more like the rubber blade too. They changed the design on it, so I'm supposed to get some more information on that too.
Because I've seen the wing just skip along.
I don't know if White Creek is running it on the wing or not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd like to find out.
Well, okay.
So because we only have one plow blade per truck, so you would be putting the rubber on, taking it off, and putting the carbide back on, switching back and forth?
If it freezes.
Okay.
If it freezes.
Well, hopefully it still will freeze at some point.
I hope it does.
Okay. Because they're about 6,000 for the blade.
I think I was a little high,
Okay.
but when they first came out, they were expensive. But I don't have a number at the moment.
It's worth trying.
What's a carbide blade? What's a steel one?
The steel one, what was that, Warren? $1,600.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
How long
16.
does it take to change them?
That blade takes a couple hours to change. Granted, I mean, what happens is when those carbides last a couple years, so that blade would probably go 3 years. We can get about 3 seasons on that, depending if you don't break it or, the carbides don't come apart. But there's one on truck 5, that's 3 years old. And the one on truck 3 is going on its 3rd season. So, but they do last quite a while. So what happens is when they're on the plow for that long, the rust kind of builds up behind them. Mm-hmm. So when you cut the old blade off, which this is the part that, and I say cut it off, is usually the bolts are not, you put the bolts on and the back sides of them get all rusted. So you end up just cutting them off with a torch. So you're disposing of bolts,
which are expensive,
every time that you would change, because they're either a nylon lock nut or a regular lock nut, and that tends to get ruined, or the threads get ruined, or the threads hit something, so, but the blade itself would be fine. It's just saving the hardware to put them back on, but you can change the blade in probably 2 hours.
And how long is the rubber blades? Do they just last a season because they're soft?
I'm not sure how long they last.
Okay.
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I don't know enough about them.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're getting info.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Great.
It was brought to my attention not too long ago.
Cool.
Okay.
If you guys have anything else,
Okay. So, next on the agenda, we want to talk about the municipal road general permit that we get. This all started several years ago. The state of Vermont was sued by the federal government for not having adequate protection in place for protecting the waters of Lake Champlain and other cities that like the thing. So they had to come up with a whole bunch of new regulations and all that sort of stuff. And what they did is they made every town, they came up with any incorporated city, town, or village with operational control over municipal roads is subject to the requirements of this permit. They made us get a permit. And every year we have to renew the permit.
Yes, every year we renew every year we pay for the permit.
Pay for the permit.
It's about $2,200 a year.
$2,200 a year. But in getting the permit, one of our requirements was we had to do a complete survey of the town, all town roads, to find out which ones were, if I can say, hydrologically connected, which means that did the water from this road go into a stream, or did it have the ability to go into a stream and that type of thing. And we had a map.
We have a map, because I'm having a computer malfunction. I can't bring this up, but just to get this out front, I am creating a section on the webpage that'll have more information on what the general permit means, because it does have a completion date on this issue of the permit of March of 28. We have hundreds of sections of road, and when you look at the map that'll go up with that, purple designates what areas of the road don't meet the standard now, and the town is purple. You wouldn't think we have what they call hydrologically connected roadways, but it's nearly every road in the town. So we're going to post that. We're also going to post the standards that we're required to meet, which will be the Vermont Better Road standards and standards that are part of the general permit requirement. And just a little bit more background, and I'll turn myself off, but meeting these standards is crucial to a lot of funding. Each year through BCRC, which manages the Better Roads grants from the state, we receive anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 in grants to work on projects. By meeting the Better Road standards, and we're working on getting all our roads up to the Better Road standards, but that has to do with over $180,000 of highway aid from the state. And if we don't work on roads the way the state mandates, then we risk, $250,000 in funding. So that's really the purpose of this whole thing. And the municipal road general permit has real standards, and when we do one of their projects, we have someone go come out and inspect them, and they have to be done to the directions. When we do larger projects, there's pictures involved, there's engineers involved, and everything has to meet what they say.
So this will be going on the website also?
Yeah, it's the Vermont Better Road Standards, and we'll put that on the website. We'll put the map. We'll put a little description. The entire general permit thing is a little wordy, so I'll break down to the more pertinent parts, especially their standards that they list in there, which are very similar to it. And the Better Roads Manual is a good one because it's easy to read through and it's easy to see what they're talking about. It has some little graphics too, which makes it a little bit more user-friendly. So, but we'll just try and get the word out that this is how the roads are supposed to be. And this is what the state is looking for. And, it takes a lot of time with our, 50 miles of gravel roads and 21 miles of paved roads. It takes a little while to get around to it.
We have 708 segments that are hydrologically connected.
708 segments, and most all of them are purple.
And this book, the Vermont Better Roads Manual, does give you an explanation of the MRGP too. There's in the beginning of it, it gives you some history and the purpose, and so everything in there, from what a crown of a road should look like, a ditch, turnout, check dams, everything that's in there, traffic control,
Yeah.
tree cutting, sub-base. I mean, you go on and on.
Yeah.
This all explains everything that we have to do to keep our roads to those standards that we sign every year, the town and bridge and roadway standards. And it's not just for gravel roads too, it's for paved roads. It's for all roads, every class that we have. And
that
every
is
class has a different definition on what type of maintenance they get, but that explains it in here.
Yeah, it explains it in a way it doesn't give you all the technical.
No, it's pretty easy to follow.
It's good to
It's
read.
quite understandable.
Yeah, it is quite understandable. And one last thing about the MRGP, there are substantial penalties involved for not, because the board signed off on this. You had to sign this with the state,
We signed
the
every year.
general permit, and there are penalties for not meeting the date.
And so from what I was kind of just hearing, that some towns choose not to get this permit and therefore are not subject to those road standards, or how
never
does
heard
that?
that. I
Okay,
don't think this is
is that, so
mandatory for the
everybody,
state,
every town has to be doing
Yeah.
what we're doing, or
Yeah, if,
There is no
rising
exception.
to, there's no,
If
okay.
you want state funding, like the $180,000 we get,
I think it says
that's
any town
mandatory
Yeah.
for this.
Okay,
does it.
And the general permit is statewide because it was generated out of problems up by Lake Champlain,
Right.
but to make it more palatable around the state, they made it required for all towns. Any town that's choosing not to do this is risking their funding. I don't
okay.
know.
And so every town is filing these permits to
Yeah,
get
I mean,
this.
and that's why BCRC for
Okay.
Bennington County is funneling the Better Roads grants. It used to be done differently, but now they brought it down here. Like Jim Henderson will meet Mike. They'll go up, I think next year is Daniels.
Yeah, we're
And you went
working on
up and
submitting that.
there's a
like
design for
tomorrow.
that Jim helped with, that's been submitted to the state. It requires pictures, it requires a closing report, and it has to be what's required from the state. And the ditches have to be this deep, and the roadway has to be this wide, the crown has to be like this.
And the culvert sizes.
Culvert sizes are all decided by the state. There's no
Yeah.
options in any of them.
Whether it's a river engineer or a hydrologist.
Yeah.
So what brought this up was that we all received a thing about somebody concerned about the ditches. Why do we have to have ditches? And that's what we're trying to explain, is that we are required to do this. And in fact, it says the average ditch has got to be at least 2 feet deep, 2 feet wide, and all that sort of stuff. So I did put together a folder that has, they also wanted to know how much was spent on tree removal and how much was being spent on ditching and that sort of stuff. And I put together I put together the Better Roads Manual that explains that, and also different sections of the standards for bridges and roads and all that sort of stuff.
And the numbers that were spent on it?
Yep.
On the trees.
On the trees, we have $2,200 or $22,500 budgeted. We don't always spend all of that.
Yeah, and that goes incredibly fast. Trees are very
I could
expensive to
spend that in
remove.
2 days.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And are we going to, when we're putting out this Better Roads Manual and seeing that you brought up the trees, are you going to also put up the statutes for the tree management? Because I think that was
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah, I can do that too.
And descriptions of what a shade tree is and things like that.
Yeah, because
That
there's a
was
lot
very-
of misconception about what a
Yeah, I
shade
think
tree
it would
is.
be very clarifying for I know it was for me to just
Yeah.
kind of read through things.
Very interesting stuff.
And readable in a way
Yes.
that you
Yeah.
would not expect it
Okay, I'll
to
put
be
that up too,
readable.
so you can see that.
Yeah.
That's in here too.
Yeah.
Right,
That whole
that
section is.
information that, yeah, Dave shared.
So if we want to sign this, and I'll drop it off. She had the request asked that we get back to him, so that's why thought I'd drop this off and with all the information.
And by she, are we talking about Roberta Carroll? Okay, okay.
So we'll sign this and I'll drop it off sometime, okay?
Sure, great. And I would like to suggest, since we did get such a number of emails in the last weeks on this general set of issues, I'm really glad it's all going up on the web, and I would like to ask people to read it very carefully, and then perhaps we could put it on the agenda again sometime in, say, February, after people have had a chance to really absorb it, read
And then
it,
we
after
can
the
have a
holiday
discussion.
rush, and people could come back with questions, which I bet Mike can answer.
Yeah, I mean, and anybody can email me. My email's on the website. If they have a question about a ditch or why we're doing something on a section of road, or, you know, like, they can call the shop or stop by, or I'm pretty easy to get a hold of most of the time. But I'm willing to, you know, explain why we're doing this. I mean, this is one of the reasons too, and a lot of the reasons that we do some of this work shows today. Like, we would have had, if some of the ditches that we dug this year, and granted, yeah, they look deep at, you know, to the start, but once the grass grows and everything, or they erode a little bit from the way we keep getting floods. But if we didn't have some of those ditches, the guys would probably be out there right now patching up some roads that washed away or something, or cleaning culverts or upsizing culverts, or a lot of the routine maintenance that we're doing is all. A lot of this stemmed from Storm Irene, the tropical storm Irene, and when, you know, because there wasn't, they came up with these standards because before Irene, they really, you know, everybody was just kind of, okay, we're putting a 15-inch culvert in, you know, but we really should have put a 36-inch culvert in, you know, so they came up with all these standards so that we can fix the road so that we don't have more catastrophes like that Irene. But if anybody ever sees the guys out working or something, they're pretty easy to talk to, and they love giving my cell phone number out too. So
I bet they I think it's really
you can
wonderful
call.
that you're so accessible, but I also think there's something to be said for public group discussion
Yeah, that too,
about
I
this
agree.
stuff,
Yeah.
because sometimes one person's question gets answered in a way that answers other people's questions as well. So if it happens kind of en masse, I think it's a good idea.
Good idea to put on.
Not
the
that they
agenda.
shouldn't bother you on your cell phone all the time.
No, and a lot of them don't.
We're really fortunate to have Mike because he actually went to school for this.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
We stole it from the state, is what we did. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
I try, and all the guys try too.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
do really good.
Yeah, I think, you know, the road crew deserves a lot of credit over the last few years. All of us remember roads not too long ago that were
Possible.
quite not up to this level, and
It's a
the roads are a
that's the most
major
common
improvement.
comment I get is that the roads are better than they have been in the last 200 years.
Yeah.
Ever since.
Yep.
The potholes right now, Mother Nature's doing that to us.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about them. I mean, we'll fill them as we can, but they're just the freeze and the thaw and the
It's a
rain.
whack-a-mole game.
Yeah, it's not.
Yes.
It's kind of depressing.
You
Yeah.
drive $1 million worth of fire trucks on these back roads, and I've been driving for 50 years, and the roads have never been better, ever. And,
Yeah.
so just the maintenance and the less wear and tear on those pieces of apparatus,
On everybody's, taxpayers,
paying for itself.
taxpayers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they're in terrific shape.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Joe.
A lot of these roads were originally just mud tracks,
Yes.
and now people are driving, you know, there's 2-3 car families with 2 or 3 cars that are all giant SUVs with giant tires that are throwing the ground. It's just,
Yeah.
we ask a lot more of these roads than we did
Yeah.
in the 70s, 80s, any decade.
And the roads get wider because the vehicles are getting bigger too. You know,
Yes.
you take two full-size trucks right now, and there's some roads that you can't pass each other on. And it's, you know, it's not even because of the ditches, it's because they're just, the trees are so close and narrow. I mean, it's everything too.
And the cars are bigger.
Cars are
The
bigger.
cars are bigger.
Okay. You want to stay there because we're going to be talking about the budget?
I was going to suggest we can, if we start the
Joe up.
budget, we'll bring Joe up.
Please.
And,
Switcheroo?
yeah, switcheroo, yeah. Well, yeah, because Mike's is going to take longer.
All right.
I know you've been waiting, Joe, so we might as well maybe you come up.
I don't have hot chocolate.
We'll go to the library tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get,
I spent a
we'll all
lot
get
of time
them.
at library. So, our budget for next year. Now that we got that fire truck out of the way, now I don't have to think about that for a while. I'm thinking about some of the things that we were looking at for next year. It's kind of an ongoing thing. Every year we have to replace fire gear. It just wears out. And after 15 years, they recommend that we change it anyways because it loses its ability to deflect heat. So probably a couple sets of gear, which is going to be around $10,000.
For 2 sets?
2 sets, yeah. A fire helmet alone is $400. So then take it from there. You know, that's
Just think.
ridiculous.
Safety is important. We don't want you,
safety is
and we
important,
don't want,
but,
brain injuries.
Yeah. So that's probably, you know, and it takes almost 8 months to get it. You know, so if we order it in April, we're not going to get it until next fall. So that's what we're looking at. We've got to do some repair work on one of the engines, replace some lighting that keeps breaking down on us, and we keep putting new bulbs in, and it doesn't last, mostly because it's just worn out. The truck is 13 years old, and they're quite expensive, like everything else. So we're also looking to, we share our main channel. I don't have my pager on it, but our pager that alerts us to an emergency call is on the same channel as Berkshire County. Well, their channel and their equipment is much bigger than Shaftsbury and Bennington County as a whole. Most of the departments around us have gone to their own priority channel, Arlington, Bennington, and whatnot. North Bennington and ourselves, being smaller, have stuck with our current channel, like I said, that we share with Berkshire County. But now it's getting to the point where if we have an emergency call, Berkshire County can override us, and we can't communicate back and forth. So Bennington County Mutual Aid is taking it upon themselves to get a new priority channel. And when I say a priority channel, it would be something that every department within Bennington County can go to if we have a mutual aid call. You know, we can switch it over.
Or you could switch back to just yours.
Yeah, so we use it as our main channel. We didn't, you know, if we're getting a new channel, there's no sense in us having our very own. And so that upgrade in communication could be quite costly. And we're looking at probably next year, the next fiscal budget. So what it would mean is the 18 personal pagers, and I say 18 because we have 18 firefighters right now. So 18 personal pagers would have to be changed, 14 mobile radios between the chiefs and officers and fire trucks, and 17 portable radios. So you can see that the numbers are quite large or would have to be changed. Some of that may be paid for through Bennington County Mutual Aid, but I just wanted to make you aware of that, that we may have to use that as our communications. But the good thing is we're caught up as of probably next month, we're going to be caught up with personal pagers. So we won't have to have that expenditure over the next few years. So we'll have money in our communications budget to cover that.
I was just going to ask you if you wanted to start putting some away towards that? Or is that
let me get, we're dealing with Bearcon, the old Wells Communication, and let's get some prices and things of that nature and see where we're going to head.
instead of hitting it all in 1 year, I wonder if we shouldn't push some away.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to be okay, but I just want to make you aware of it, that this is what we're doing, and an expense that we are going to have to encumber
And when you're talking about pagers, are you talking about actual pagers, or is this a page system that's
No,
on your phone? Because I
we
know,
have-
like, New York State has paging that goes through their cell phone.
We have both.
Okay.
We have personal pagers,
Okay,
but we also have, it's called e-dispatch or something of that
Okay.
variation. So like if a guy's in Manchester or Pownell,
Mm-hmm.
they could come over their cell phone where a pager wouldn't.
right. And so I was wondering
Yeah.
if you had both, and is there a reason to do both still, or
I think
or
so,
is
because we
this-
have, most of our guys work out of town. So like
Okay,
we have guys that work in Hoosier Falls
okay,
that come to almost every call.
right.
But because they have this, otherwise they wouldn't hear it.
Right. Well, that's why, because
Yeah, so
I
this
have a
is like our
firefighter
backup.
that's from Hoosick Falls, and they just use
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like this. They don't have
They
any
have better
pagers
cell
anymore.
service, right?
And I was wondering if it's due to
And
cell
they may have,
service
you
or
know,
other
a
things.
department, a
So they
quarter
can
works
rely
in
on
town.
that
Right,
as
right.
opposed to a pager. Yeah.
We really don't have a.
Interesting. Oh, I was
Yeah,
just,
no,
it
no,
was a
no.
curiosity,
No.
because when we talk about pagers, that's almost obsolete for most other, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
medical people don't have pagers
Yeah.
anymore. We have it all on our phones.
Yeah,
so
and,
it's
you know,
really-
we still use the pagers.
Yeah, and if it works,
It's viable so far.
Good, okay.
And the pagers are also nice so that if my guys that don't have like portable radios and they're on the fire scene, they can hear us talk and
Through the
I see.
pager.
that's through the pager, where they wouldn't be able to.
Got it, okay.
But and you'll notice that this year I raised our equipment fund, or I asked for a raise in our equipment fund of $2,500. We're getting to the point now where the state and the feds are kind of asking us to recertify certain things, like our air packs, our air system that fills the air packs. Something simple like fire extinguishers, which can be quite costly because we have a lot of them.
Yeah.
We have 20 of them. My fire reporting system, you know, so every year we get, and that goes up every year. And we kind of try to keep our budget the same, but we got to start, you know, encompassing some of these up charges that we get for recertification. And again, our dispatch, you know, that we, you know, depend upon. So that's kind of like the annual expenditures, and I did print this out. And then I got some long-term goals that aren't cast in stone, but they're just things that we think about. And, you know, upgrades that we feel might be, you know, like the fire alarm system at the firehouse. Some of it is 50, 60 years old. And Dave will tell you it's a nightmare. Anytime somebody goes over there, we hate to have them touch it because there's several systems integrated with each other, and if they touch it, it all of a sudden doesn't work for a long time. So,
It needs to be
That's
replaced.
terrifying.
so it is terrifying. You know, when I get calls in the morning saying, you know, the fire alarm system's down, I go down and I look at it and say, nah, not touching it. So
Okay.
I'm looking at just taking all that old stuff out, upgrading to a new system, you know, to protect the building,
Yeah.
and you know, also, you know, our communications with the state dispatch and stuff, just kind of
Right.
to do a new system. To upgrade our base radio in Station 2, that was something that was given to us and was kind of cobbed together, and it needs to be replaced. It won't even reach down here, so it's kind of useless. And I'm also looking into undercoating all the trucks on an annual basis. It was something that was mentioned to me, and we had never done it before. And I'm thinking that it might be something that, since we're thinking about keeping our trucks a little bit longer, that extra 5 years, it might be something that we should be really consider doing to protect them. So that's kind of something that I'm looking into. And again, replacing fire gear, which is going to be an annual thing anyways. But so that's basically my thoughts, and it could all change tomorrow if
Right.
something breaks down, but it's a goal, or a long-term goal that we have.
The fire system thing, is that something that some of these grants that are coming down for municipal buildings might cover?
I haven't seen one that'll cover that.
No, okay. I was just saying with some of those
Yeah.
MERPs and other things, I was thinking
But we
that
should,
we may be
when we do,
looking at some.
part of the renovation here is going to have to include a fire system and probably a burglar alarm system. So we can dovetail that project into yours, because we get a company here, we'll get a better price if we're doing multiple buildings at once.
Yeah. I
But
just.
no, yours is.
It's something we have to do today.
Yeah,
No,
but
but I
it's-
was just thinking that, because we're looking at so many
Right.
grants for other things, and
yeah.
money is kind of around, that I just was,
Yeah.
we may want to take a look and see if there's anything that could
Yeah, I can check
hook
with
in.
FEMA sometimes has things like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
But,
so.
yeah, no, but the
Just
system is.
for something, because it sounds like it's long overdue.
Yeah, yeah.
Needing
And so is this building, the same
Yeah.
thing. I mean, we don't
Yeah.
have a fire alarm system,
for,
which is kind of,
for safety purposes.
Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of silly. We don't.
Yeah.
so.
On your long-term goals, any magic about recruitment? I'm concerned.
I would love to have a wand, but I don't. I just don't.
Did any of the other chiefs come up with anything innovative?
They come up with things and they try, and it doesn't really pan out. Things are a lot different nowadays, you know, than
Yeah.
they were, decades ago when I first started out. There's a lot of training required to be part of a department. Guys look at that and are intimidated, I think. Retention's hard.
Yeah.
So we've lost 2 or 3 this year.
Yeah. I'm just concerned that at some point, we're gonna have to have a fire department
Right.
that may have to be financial. Yeah.
If you look at many Maine towns, they have a combination of professional firefighters, EMT, paramedics,
Yeah.
because they're facing the same thing. They're actually aging quicker than this state, unbelievably. So, and that is a driving force. I mean,
Yeah.
And if you're aging now,
Yeah.
some of us are.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. But that may be part of the solution. I mean, there's already a huge shortage in EMS in the county,
Yeah.
and firefighting's, the same thing.
Yeah.
and Shaftsbury was lucky because we kind of had a feeder program with the juniors.
Yes.
And some of those are, our parents now. But when they're only this big, you kind of say,
Yeah.
okay, let's hurry
Grab
and
'em
blow them
fast,
up
yeah.
and get them going.
Yeah.
And I encourage bringing the 10-year-olds and the 9-year-olds just to be around the firehouse. So
Sure.
they get in their head. And we have 2 juniors that just joined this past week. But again, they're 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
very limited in what they can do. But that's, way down the road.
Yeah.
And, we ask and just, don't have time.
Okay.
Well, I think you're right about the training. It scares a lot of people.
It can, and then you have to recertify every year.
Yeah.
And I sign off on it, and we try to do it all in-house. But, again, they have to come to the drills.
Yeah.
Because I won't sign off if they don't
Yeah.
participate in the drills.
You still got a top-notch department though, Joe.
Oh, yes.
The guys that we have are great.
Yeah, they're
They're
wonderful.
dedicated, and
Yeah.
they leave their jobs, and we have great employers that allow them to do that. And I've said it before. We're very fortunate. We have a core of probably 8 or 9 guys, 10 guys that can make a lot of the calls, and so. In that case, we're a lot better off than some departments. Some
Sure.
departments are a lot worse than we are.
Good. Good. We'll work with Dave on the budget.
Okay.
You got our blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right.
Good job, Joe.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Joe, and thanks
Thank
for
you.
everybody. And
I think because we never announced what we're doing. We're on the budget session here.
Right. We just rolled on it.
And this is the first iteration of this. It's my 9th iteration of this, but it's the board's first. So this was put together with the goal of keeping it at a 5% increase for the year. So that's where it is. There were some things that I did not do that we had all talked about, like doubling the sheriff's. That has stayed the same. Leaving that to a board decision if we want to move that up, or maybe it's something for a floor vote at town meeting. Do you want to raise taxes to double the amount of time the sheriff was in town, something like that? To add it in this way, I'd rather work on the budget, keeping it at 5% and let the voters of the board add on from there. But this is a totally functional budget that would keep the town running exactly the way it is now.
I like that idea of putting it on a ballot.
It's floor vote, look, people want more time from the sheriff, instead of just adding it in, because it would be doubling it. I mean, I would even triple it, because 40,000 isn't really a lot of time. But let the voters decide.
Mike's fault.
Yeah, you made the roads look good. Now we have a
Yes,
problem.
that's a problem.
Hey,
We can hang out in the garage.
But I think the comment you made was that we really didn't add anything more. We didn't buy a lot more gravel or anything else. It's just all inflation. Is that not right?
No, mostly when we start going through Mike's, the big thing was gravel. That was 30% over budget. And that's, like I said, that is the raw material went up a substantial amount, and trucking went up, and that's all driven by diesel. Mike's diesel last year was, I think, around 33% over, but the price went from whatever, $3.10 to nearly $6 a gallon.
Yeah.
And now it's gone all the way back the other way. So it's impossible to deal with some of that stuff. That's why, diesel has been almost a constant in the budget for the 10 years I've been here, because it just fluctuates. And I always hear, diesel's going up because of this, but, okay, so it went up 50 cents. Now this year it's back down. Last year for fiscal 23, it was kind of insane. It's $6, but, now it's back to almost where it was. So what's budgeted still fits every year we've done. So, and like I said, that's why overall, the town budget has a reserve, that is what you can use to absorb, spikes like this. Otherwise, we're just budgeting money that, we don't spend. We're collecting tax dollars we're not spending, and that's just, I don't know, call it me, but I don't like doing that.
No, it's-
And, you have it under as gravel, but gravel actually it should say gravel and materials, because it's not just gravel. It's you got stone, pipe sand, like the riprap stone that we use in the ditches and stuff. That's where that comes out of your gravel budget too.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You're not just buying
The total
road surface gravel.
Yeah, the total isn't that. The spike was from Wallingford, but this is one of the things Mike and I have been talking about. These classifications have been around forever. I was talking to Mike about that's one to start breaking down, because there's gravel, the road gravel, there's the riprap, there's this. So we could start so people could better see where each of these categories go.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so that, the idea is always to be careful, because once NIMRIC has a category, you can never get rid of it. So you want to think of, what would pick a few of these categories, and what would someone looking at this be able to discern better. And gravel is like every rock of any nature that Mike buys goes on the gravel.
From any of the quarries around here.
Yeah, and they have lots of different purposes.
Right.
So, that's one category to break up so people could see better. But the real cost increase was bringing from Wallingford. But another reason why your roads are so nice is because the material is so much better from Wallingford.
And
So,
Peckham has other products that we use there a lot, like their riprap stone, their winter sand, their clean stone, they have tons of products. It's just gravel is not the one that they're making to sell. They want to produce hot mix and concrete. So when they make hot mix and which I mean by asphalt and concrete is they want that clean stone. So when they make their gravel, it's got no pack to it, and it gets really stony, and that's when it washboards up. Where Wallingford has a nice gravel that packs really well too, and it does work. I mean, in my opinion. The price of the gravel is actually around the same. I think it's $2 more truck down here than the price of their material that they make. I just got the new price sheet today.
I heard that just went up.
It just went up again.
I
Just
think
so you
that's
know,
the-
we've lost our
Just
keys.
incidentally, that's the kind of thing that ought to get said
What have we lost?
The Zoom.
as often as possible in public forums, so that people really
They
understand the kind of details about what goes into the,
We're buying that material because it is a better material.
and this is the kind of way, yeah, the other
You know,
one, washboards and all that kind of stuff is, you live it every day.
Yeah.
So you don't
think about that.
think about what the average person doesn't know
No, but
about.
why are they buying that? Were they just buying it for fun? No, we're buying it because it works. And
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree.
It's
with
not
that.
about
If
people
it's not-
distrusting you, I think. It's just about people
Just not know.
They don't know.
Yeah, and they didn't go to school for that
They don't, yeah, I
magic.
mean, I'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, why are they doing that?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
I get
It's for
it,
something else, yeah.
but I mean, I'll explain my opinion on it. And if I
good.
gotta do it here, that's where I gotta do it too, so. I mean, it's just like, that goes back to, I know we're not talking about the budget, but back to the chloride.
We are.
Yeah, but yeah, we are. But this is about, you wanted me to try that other product and it didn't work. I mean, I tried it, it didn't go as planned, and we kept the same route, so.
I bet you'll try it again someday. I bet you it'll come around.
I think if I could have, if they supplied tanks,
Tanks and everything.
I think it would be, because it doesn't mesh with the other, and I did not know that until we put it in the truck. That had a little bit of the magnesium chloride in that, and it just turned right to straight foam. It was weird.
Yeah. So you
If
need
we had
completely different tanks and pumps and everything.
one brand new tank and storage tank and actually clean the truck out, you wouldn't have any problems.
Yeah.
But trying to run two products wasn't.
No, I understand. Yep.
So this reflects a 4% across the board increase for everyone. And the crew has been getting 5%, I think, for the last 3 years in a row. So we just trimmed it back a little bit this year. I had originally, being cheap, gotten rid of the part-time summer guy, but I put that back in there because it does cause a big problem if I pull him out. Insurance really wasn't that bad because of changes and things. The insurance really is going to be budgeted for less next year.
Health insurance.
Health insurance, yeah, because I received all the rates. It always makes me do it double because everybody complains about their health rates going up. But because our crew fluctuates in what they take, it comes out differently.
Okay.
Let's see. We still have the dental, the vision, retirement contributions. The clothing allowance went up, this year because clothing went up like everything else.
Dave,
Yeah,
back to the summer, part-time
summer, yeah.
My question was when,
You have to figure that out for what's left from this year to when we don't start, because this is starting
Because-
July 1st.
yeah, I understand that, and if I can't hire somebody till July 1st, I might as well put that money somewhere else. That's what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but because Cody, we kind of hired Cody and was paying him out of the regular highway, I think we'll be able to start someone before that. I'll just have to look.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. What else do we have? Mike, in the construction and maintenance, that pretty much all stayed the same. Signs that we put up, because signs always have a way of walking here.
The steel toe Did that go up?
Yes, it went up $400.
Did Greg ever get his boots?
Greg got his boots. I finally got a receipt, so he got his boot money. And, yeah.
Now I can go back to the transfer station.
Yeah. Greg finally got his boot money. One other thing we did in here was we had a, what were we calling it? In both the highway maintenance, the truck maintenance categories and the highway garage, we had machinery and equipment. So Mike wanted to get rid of it in highway garage, and we just combined it both in the one category under highway equipment maintenance. It just makes sense, and that's another category that Mike will probably be breaking down to have a few subcategories there, so you get a better idea of what all this is, because that's a very, very broad category.
Yeah, we took the one out of highway garage, operating supplies, correct?
Yeah, it was, we took machinery and equipment out of highway garage
Machinery and equipment, that's
and
the one,
included
yes.
it in highway equipment maintenance.
Yes.
And we did up in, what was it, operating supplies under construction and maintenance, we upped that 5,000.
Yes.
And below that, you'll see gravel, which went from 90 to 115. That increase was mostly taken out of the Class 3 road fund. The Class 3 road fund was designed just about when Mike got here, because the roads were in terrible condition. And so we created that to bring them up to speed, which pretty much they are, so we don't need that much in there. And Class 3 road funds is basically all our gravel roads. So whether it stayed in one or the other, so we decided to move it over to gravel, and it still leaves $35,000 in the Class 3 for other projects that come up. But Class 3 is essentially all the gravel roads. Right. So, but the original purpose of that was to have dedicated funds to bring these roads up. And I think we all agree that the roads have improved a great deal. Anything else on here, Mike, you want to? I will point out that the state MRPG grant fees, I upped $600 because they're getting quite expensive, from $1,600 to $2,200 for next year.
We put the sidewalk stuff into the reserve.
Yeah, we took sidewalk. There was a sidewalk maintenance that we're trying to build up a little bit, so but I put it in reserve because right now it's a small amount, but at some point we're going to have to start putting more money in it to do repairs on over here. You know, not, I'm not talking about anything new. We're talking about repairs on what we have, because Mike can tell you the cost of concrete work is.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there's a curb, look, the curb they poured is going to hell already.
Yeah, that, we might as well keep adding to that money, because that little bit of money, I don't remember the number that was there, because now the sheet hasn't moved, but wasn't really like, we should build on that.
Yeah, it's slowly building up now. I forget what the reserve fund is at today. But yeah, like if you go over, look by Cleveland Park, a lot of the front of the curb is flaking off. It's just coming off, and these aren't that old, so
there's some sidewalk maintenance that needs to be done.
and sometime we're going to have to do some serious expenditure.
And sometimes they do put out sidewalk grants too, so the last one they put out just wasn't feasible for what we had, but you never know what.
And there's the possibility, we're going to lose a significant amount of sidewalk when we put in the water main and have to be rebuilt that we get. You know, we send the guys around, once they're mobilized, we send them around the corner and to patch some other stuff. Because unfortunately, the water main runs under a good portion of the sidewalk. So, well, planning is everything.
Yes.
Let's see. And of course, the equipment maintenance, the trucks all went up. You know, no, there's another 5,000-6,000 there, and we'll easily go through that. We've gotten closer every year, but it keeps moving further away. Because the deficit, you know, a few years ago, the deficit was getting quite high. So we keep getting closer, but the parts, taking a truck in for them to look at, the looking part is costing a fortune now, because they're charging hours to look and diagnose.
It's unreal.
The last one, I don't know what to say.
I know.
I couldn't believe it. $3,000 just for because it was rusty. It had extra rust. I mean, it was all labor, and I'm just like, oh, I don't understand this. I even asked for an explanation too, and it took longer to change the oil pan because of the extra rust.
Yeah.
No, it's discouraging.
Well, even tonight, the two vehicles, 8,000 and 7,000. You know, I mean, and
Some
that's
of
not.
that should be parts too.
Yeah, well, it's parts too, but it's not. It's not
Well, that
even
8,000
unusual
The
anymore.
$8,000 one was that oil pan. And of course, when they did the oil pan, they broke a bunch of stuff too, so.
It's not a hill we
You
can
know.
unless you break something.
Extract
Yeah.
broken bolts, probably.
And granted, they are plow trucks, they do get rusty under there, and we've tried the undercoating, and
But you got to order stainless steel pans when you order them.
yeah, you do, yeah, this was an older truck anyways, yeah, all those trucks, everything's got stainless now, but this one didn't get stainless because it wasn't available.
Yeah.
But, we did try undercoating them, and you know, I don't know, I like it and I don't. I'll tell you, you replace an air can, or you lean up against it or something, and I don't know. I don't know if it does any good or not. And I guess if the truck was on pavement all the time, it probably would be better, because these trucks get so dirty from the gravel roads, I mean, with the weather and stuff, so I don't know, but the undercoating, mixed feelings about that.
Okay. Okay. Any comments or?
Aside from the drastic difference in scale, this looks sort of like a household budget recently. I mean, everything has gone up in the
Yeah.
same kind of proportions.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, overall, through all the departments, I was just trying to keep it, because we have to recognize some changes too, but, you know, trying to keep it down to 5%. I see things like what they're talking about in education, where they're talking 18%. Well, you know, we have to put our budget next to that, and people come in to look to what can be cut off of this. So I'm trying to make it as realistic. At the bottom of this, you know, is the estimate based on our grand list and everything. But, you know, if it went this way, the total increase for the year would be $25 per 100,000, which is fairly mild, you know. But that also will allow for a town meeting to bring up some other things and for people to debate. Well, we really do need to have more sheriff coverage. We really do need this. Or maybe, you know, we should do something else. Well, you can vote that off the floor. But I figured a lower base would be, I'd rather start at one level than have people start, you know, saying we need to take this off or that off. Because that can, and this all works. And, you know, I'm not a believer in more money always makes everything better, but sometimes it does. And the sheriff might be one of those categories where it will.
Was the sheriff able to fill the hours?
Yeah, the sheriff's services have been great since the turnover. We've even had, you know, we've had some arrests, which is good. They've been at Howard Park a lot. They're around. They've helped out with every situation we've asked them for, and I think it's you know, a much better working relationship with them now. So I think we're getting good service, and I think if we could get more time on here, we could start tamping down some of the speeding complaints and things. But at the limited hours we have and 71 miles of road, it's kind of hard to make too big an impact. You know, so.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion?
Take your mic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good one. You too. Thanks.
So on the rest of it, any questions on any of the other parts of it? We have.
So is this reflective of, we had talked about the town administrator's salary going up with benefits and things like that. Is this reflected, or is that?
Yeah, the big factor in for the town administrator position is, as you all know, I never took any health insurance.
Right.
So that's upping the entire budget line $27,000.
Okay.
Because you have to figure in that it'll be a family plan. And we pay family plan for everybody, no matter how you're insured here. We offer the family, the 2-person or the single person. So I made it the family plan because we should be realistic about this. I put the 80 in there as a benchmark. And what the final is yet to be determined.
Right. Okay.
You know, varying from what's there will be very marginal impact on anything.
Okay.
But it's that in. And of course, you had to enter in the dental plan, the vision plan also, which I don't take because I get it from other sources. The administration didn't go up too much. There is changes. You'll see website management went down significantly. This is our very versatile administrative assistant, which is her technical title, but Jen Holly is also the webmaster. She's the assistant town clerk. She's the cemetery commissioner, and she's developing the Semify program, which is really a great program. So what I did was I moved hours into the town clerk's office, and we're going to restructure the way she's paid. And if you look at cemetery is double too, because we're going to move Semify, which I hadn't put in there because we were paying her out of cemetery reserve fund, but we're going to budget it all under cemetery superintendent as an ongoing project and ongoing updates. But we'll provide the flexibility for her to spend time in the cemetery, time helping Marlene, and the webpage. Now it's all up and running, and she's very technically proficient at it, so that has to be less money there. But this will more truly reflect how much is going there. Because the cemetery can go from a slow period at this time of year, not including Semify, but this is when Marlene needs a lot of help. So there'll be more hours for her to help Marlene. And then during the summer, and again, the road crew did a great project with her and the cemeteries. They straightened out well over 100 tombstones and everything. So it'll balance out. I'll make it a lot easier on our bookkeeper too, because it gets confusing with all the different roles, and I just want to combine it into the administrative assistant role. We're going to create a new category, because that's how we actually came to an agreement. And then under the administrative assistant role, she can be the assistant town clerk, and then under the authority of the town clerk, because that's independent. And then she can also be the cemetery superintendent, and then she can also do this. It's kind of a chain, but it makes more sense than what we're doing now, because we've had a few payroll mishaps where the Semify money didn't wind up going into her paycheck because it's coming from a different source. So we want to clean this up. Also, we made an adjustment for our assessor's clerk. I would consider this more a step increase, because the level of work being done in the assessor's office is really commendable. We've added a great deal to the grand list, and we're still finding things. Or I should say Gina is still finding things.
That's great.
And it's leading up to a very important thing with a lot of work to do for the town-wide reassessment. So I've kind of lowered the floor and put an increase on top of that. So her pay is going up to signify the amount of work she's doing and where it would be in relation to someone with the experience. She was relatively new last year, so it's kind of like, well, let's see where this goes. But there's no question that a lot is getting done down there. I mean, it's one reason why we were able to raise the amount of the budget by like 6.9%, but it's only a 5% increase in the taxes, because we've discovered all kinds of new properties and things that have been now put on the grand list. So, and corrections that have been made.
Makes a
So
big difference.
it's definitely making a difference. I'm just trying to think of any big things in here that people might want to hear about. Joe talked about the fire department, the highway, of course, is the biggest thing. Solid waste was another one of those things where that came up in the audit review. So I had to go back and look at that. They billed us late in the prior year because last year it showed like a deficit, like we should have budgeted like 15 or 16,000, I forget what it was. But the company billed us late in 21, so in 22. So it was paid after the audit was closed in 23. So it had to be credited to that year. So it looks like they did it 3 times that year. But, you know, once the outside auditors come in and close the year, we're kind of stuck putting it in the next year. There's no way around it. So that remained the same because it wasn't much different. Casella's actually been working out pretty well. We're pretty much very tight on that. Trying to have the attendants make sure they're getting things done up there, make sure everybody's paying. Streetlights, parks, pretty much all the same. County taxes only go up a little bit. The reserve funds, equipment is up. These are all part of the long-term capital plans, increases in this. Even the fire truck is staying on the original program, because when you factor in trading in the truck we have now, we will have the money for the $650,000. The interesting part's going to come up for the next truck.
Yeah.
And that's yet to be determined what truck we're even going to be looking at that point.
His original thing was it wouldn't be a tanker for 600,000, but maybe just a standard truck would be 600,000 buying that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and you don't know. So then you have to begin to look at what are you getting? You know, do we need? And this, of course, is not for me, but just there is a lot of equipment out there. There's fast attack pumpers. There's all kinds of things that are different modalities, and it's going to be helped out significantly if. We'll see.
Yeah.
You know, and just from what we're talking about anyway, where this is all going to be when this comes up in 4 years will be interesting. Debt service hasn't changed. It's gone down because every year the garage bond goes down. And community appropriations actually came out. If the new one is approved, it's going to only be $1,000 more. So what we're looking at, like I said, is about 6.59% overall increase in the budget, but because of the increase in the grand list, it's about 5. This is budgeted at 5% overall increase for the year, which I guess it comes out to about $25.80 per 100,000. So.
Okay. Questions, comments? Great job, Dave, as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so Melanie will do hard, which is the revenue side, which is pretty much stays the same. We budget for $422,800 for outside funds to decrease the amount of tax dollars. That's been pretty stable for a long time, so I can't see anything on the horizon reducing that either. So that should all work out well, and we'll vote the final vote probably the first meeting in January to adopt the budget so that we can put it in the morning. So.
At the transfer station, when we switched from weight to volume, did you notice any difference in revenue?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's and that's one reason why we did it, because a lot of other towns, most other towns aren't weighing.
No, I know.
You know, and no one's being hurt by it. It makes everybody, I think, a little happier. It's like just, you know,
Yeah, okay. That's
just
good.
pay the bag.
Yep.
I mean, we had a few objections to I only have 60-pound bags or 60-gallon bags. Like, I'll go to the grocery store. You know,
Okay. All right. Okay. VLCTs, the town group.
yeah, this is just to an update on
Sure.
where we're going.
The ads, the 4 websites, the ad went up on 4 websites today, and as of about 3:30 today, and it'll go up on a couple more tomorrow. He's just working his way through, and yeah, I have the links. I'll just, once I have all of the links, I'll
Good, okay.
see if people can see it. But it is, I checked it, it is in fact up. Okay. So,
Good, because I got a call today.
Thank you.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a call. Well, I was on your webpage, and you know, because this person was searching around for a job, and I see you're leaving, but I can't find anything on the webpage, on the VLCT. I said, Wait, just wait.
Yeah, I think I
said
got
it's
the
coming.
email around 3:30 today. So.
Oh, good, okay.
That's good.
All right, good.
Very good. Okay, we can't remember if we actually appointed a tree warden or not, but Dave Mance III has stepped up. Mr. White, Jim White, would like to not do it anymore, and so he actually went and found Dave, and Dave has agreed. So at this point in time, I'd like to a motion to appoint Dave Mance III as our Shaftsbury's tree warden.
Okay, I can make a motion to appoint Dave Mance III as Shaftsbury's tree warden.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, that's a motion by Mike, second by Naomi. Comments or discussion?
What is his training? What does he bring to the job?
I don't know. He went to forestry school. Or,
Yeah.
Northern Woodlands magazines.
Yeah.
Editor of his.
They do a lot of forestry. I mean, his father's a surveyor.
Oh, yeah, well, they're loggers too.
Loggers.
They're loggers, yeah.
No, I don't have anything written down here. I just know he knows. As far as qualifications for the job, there are none. It's just a position that has. But Jim White, who's been doing it here for decades, I think, is very supportive of Dave, and Dave's already started the trees inventory with Jim, and they're actually working on the program. So that what will happen is Dave or Jim will drive around with one of the DPW workers, and they'll record as they assess the trees to keep it moving. Because the last time Jim did this was probably 12 years ago now, and we really need to get that up to date so we can start addressing the hazard trees. Because when we get a list of the hazard trees, that'll take us a while to get through that.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, every town has more. It's like the 22,200. And seriously, we could do 10 times that and still, the purpose is when I found the last one, because it was, I don't know, it was just tossed aside, and I found it like a year ago. The one Jim did, and sent Mike and the crew out to Airport Road because it was rated as the most hazardous road in town. And it still had like 20 of the same trees there. So it was like, well, let's start with cutting these down and moving on. And that's the important part of all this is to, get them reassessed and get out there and start doing them. Now the power company is taken a big lead in a lot of these, especially with the ash tree. Weather is also taking care of quite a number of them. So, but we do need to get around because I see him, every morning after a storm on Sunderland Hill Road, there's stuff everywhere. You don't even want to drive on parts of it because there's so many dead trees in the section, but that's the way it works.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried 5-0-0.
Can you send a letter to Jim?
We should.
Jim is actually the assistant, but you probably should. But Jim is the
Thank
assistant
you.
tree guy.
A thank you.
Tree guy. I shouldn't call him a tree guy.
He was a county forester for decades.
For many years.
Oh, was he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he does excellent Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Okay, other
And he's a
business.
forester. That's why I was asking what
Right.
the qualifications that Dave Mance has.
We have Catamount, the renewal of the Catamount contract with the board's permission. I'll just sign it for this gentleman here.
Well, of course.
To be here. So it's just renewing it for next year. It's pretty much the same rates. 50 per hour for the actual meeting length. $50 production for each meeting, and then we can always opt off for more.
Need a
Same thing.
motion for Dave to sign our contract with Catamount.
So moved.
Moved by Naomi,
Second.
second by Tony. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried 5-0-0. I have a letter for Ron that congratulations on your retirement. It's been an honor to work with you over the last 10 years. You've made a significant impact on our town, and we are grateful for your contribution. Your work ethic and dedication to provide the best service to the residents of Shaftsbury is greatly appreciated. The Select Board would like to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you have done and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Lovely.
And I will sign it, and everybody else.
I think we should probably do that for Joan as well if she is
Yeah. Yes.
journeying.
Yeah, John's been here a
Because
long
she's
time.
been here for many years as well and provided
Absolutely.
excellent service. Okay, thank you.
I did have a long talk with him before he left. and
Oh, good.
thanked him for the-
Excellent.
Okay, and one other thing I've got is that we regretfully have to accept Martha's
Resignation from the
resignation from
Planning Commission. Yep.
are you sure?
I have served the term, yes.
Okay, very good. So
Thank you.
I guess we have to,
Thank you.
we have to have a motion to accept it, is that right, or do we just accept it?
I'm going to block that motion. I've rethought it.
I was like, we didn't talk about that.
Not Shaftsbury's first filibuster.
I
Oh, my
just want to
goodness.
say, I really do want to say, having worked with her on
Thank you.
it the whole time she's done it, it's been a deep joy,
Thank you.
and you're such a quick study.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Again, do we need a motion, or do we?
I don't think we
just
really
accept
need a motion. It's
And
just,
we've
just by
already
consensus.
announced-
you
Yes.
can-
And I think it's out on the website
Yeah.
now that we're
We've already
accepting, yes.
Told her she's gone, so.
Yes.
She's gone.
Very good, thank you.
From that, yes, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Yes. Yep. Any other business?
So
We've got some executive session coming up. Okay.
I think we give us 5 minutes because we may be, but I don't think we're going to be taking a vote, and I'll explain why when
Okay,
we go in, see if anybody thinks differently.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into executive session and talk briefly about that, and then will we pause long enough for him to,
Yeah, just give us
Pick up.
5 minutes and
okay.